Here we go, transmission on the stand. I'm eager to see what caused this 3-4 issue. If it could be that loose solenoid or stuck valve. I am eager to see. Just on the ground. But let me get some of this, let me get that magnet cleared up. Voila.
Wow.
The valve body. The brains of the unit. It has a little cheap plastic piston in it that always breaks. This one's not broken yet, but a lot of guys will cut this O-ring, but if you're lucky, you can catch it and then stretch it. Let's see if I can do that. See if my trick will work. Stretch it, and then you wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Ah. There we go. There we go.
A bit of a mess. That's all right.
You know what? That's just
happens.
Just goes with the territory. So this is your 2-4 servo with the 3rd gear apply accumulator. And this is your 4th gear piston. So that's the stack. You got probably no rear case bushing left, and you probably have no bushings left in the reaction shaft support, and probably the rear sun gear bushing is probably toast. Yeah.
That band looks toast.
Band is toast. See that? She's processing metal.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Look at that surface.
Yeah, I do not believe. No. You're gonna. It's not warped, but it's really, really chewed, and then it's really severely beat. Can you see where it's beat in? from the drive shell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this drum's shot. Look at that. There's another good one.
Wow.
She's done. The elevate washer's in good shape. And you have tubulator steels.
A little heated.
Well, yeah, they're a little heated, but these are actually little relief oil slots for clutch apply. These are bone stock GM clutches. These do not look like any Ribestus or Borg Warner clutch at all. Nope. I'll scrutinize it more as we get it apart, but I don't see any GM numbers anywhere on these, or even on the teeth. So we'll do a little more research. Okay, we have not seen what the 3.4 looked like, so we're going to flip over and all see together. Holy smokes! Sheared off
Whoa.
teeth. Sheared off teeth. No clutch material. Blown out and completely collapsed. Return springs. Yeah, she is.
Holy mackerel.
Look at that. There's just no teeth on a lot
None.
of them.
See, those are some teeth
here's
on the very far.
Yeah, so the very bottom clutch nearest the apply plate still has teeth, and the next clutch up, half the teeth are there. All these are gone. The very last clutch has teeth on it, but there's no linings. They're just, it's done. So let's pop this little snap ring out.
Let's take a peek.
So heat it up, I don't even want it to come out.
Wow.
Yeah, so the apply plate, totally fried with metal infused on it. I think that might have been a clutch. Really can't tell.
Wow.
But it has teeth on it, so it was a clutch. Steel plate, completely fused. Another clutch, nothing. Look at that. I mean, it's actually it's a concaved washer now.
Cow.
Same thing, steel, metal to metal. Oh wow, this clutch is actually broken in two, so not only are the teeth blown off of it, but it's actually busted. There's still lining on it, so she was rolling around inside there, but wasn't doing any good whatsoever. Another steel plate. Oh, look at that, another clutch, busted in two. There's the other half of it. Still has lining on it, but no teeth. Steel plate, not chewed up, because it had two broken clutches with linings on both sides of it. Clutch with no teeth, some lining, yet broken too. Steel plate fused, because this side here actually was burned and hot because it was riding against the side with the clutch material. But this other side was galled and chewed up because it was riding against a clutch that had no lining, but it had teeth. And then here's your apply plate that goes first in the actual forward drum and goes against the 5 tangs for the 3/4 piston apply. So this is the overrun and forward clutch assembly. Just got her out of the drum. Top plate for the forward. Let's see how she looks. Yeah, these are GMs. All processed, a lot of metal. Bottom one's the wave. And you got the mid plate between the overruns and the forward. And then the the overrun clutch rides on the back side of the mid plate. Now these overrun clutches and steels are burned, which usually tells me this forward sprag was also slipping. So I guess we'll find out in just a minute here. Still freewheeling clockwise and locking counterclockwise, but that doesn't mean it was working under load. And this is the overrun race that we're going to be updating with the Sonics billet steel one, so this will be going away. It's actually chewed and destroyed anyways. It's been making metal. That may polish up, but there's some chatter witness marks where the sprag was slipping and catching. So we'll see. That may polish up, or this may need to just be replaced. And the sprag is a single cage, which is the lighter duty SK series. And we're going to be going with the Borg Warner 29 element double cage, which means it has an outer cage and it has an inner cage to keep these dog bones more stable when they go to lock. So that is it on this. So here's the intermediate reaction shaft we just took out assembly with the front planet. Has the tow haul bearing on the back side of it instead of the 4-tang washer. That's how this one came from GM. Planetary gear sets. Let's see how they look. Well, the needle bearings all feel okay. The thrust will check with a feeler gauge. If it's less than 24 thousandths each gear, that'll be acceptable. So at a quick glance, this looks all right. A little tangent bearing stuck on the back side of it. And that goes on planet like that. But this front planet ring gear is toast. And that is completely chewed up from 3/4 clutches, smoking and slipping and sliding with no teeth. So this is garbage. It's going to have to be replaced. And we will continue. So here is the drive shell, factory GM. It's not broken. It's not stripped. There's still plenty of splines on it, but it's going in the scrap bin because we're going to be updating this with the Sonics Smart Shell, which has a short overrun race and a bearing and a super thick heat-treated spline assembly for the actual area where this splines in to the rear sun gear. Get the snap ring out for the center support. Now, some guys will beat on these center supports and knock everything out to get this out, and they'll beat backwards on it. I don't like doing that. I like to push in spring. Well, we finally got the anti-clink spring compressed so we could get the center support out. That was fun. And I'll get to the clutch assembly here. Once again, turbulator steels, GM clutches, still got a few more inside there. I got the rear planet. Once again, same thing. 20 over 24,000. This is the reject size, and so far, at a quick glance, it looks good. The captured bearing inside the rear planet feels good. And then we will continue on. So low and reverse clutches were not burned up. Just high miles and wear and tear. So we're getting the low and reverse piston out of the back of the case. Got the spring compressor in there, and going to pop out the back snap ring. Make sure when you're undoing this thing that you're paying attention to the spring unloading, because it's under quite a bit of tension. You don't want to get whacked in the face. And there you go. The last thing is we'll just take compressed air and pop that piston out. And this is ready to go in the case washer and get cleaned up. So we got the forward drum torn apart, expecting to see the 3/4 piston damaged, possibly torn seals, blown seals, explaining why the 3/4 clutch pack was destroyed. And there's no torn seals or blown seals. The 3/4 piston still in good shape, rubber still soft, no issues at all on that. The forward piston, same thing, all the rubber inside and outside soft all the way around. And even the overrun piston, no issues at all, everything nice and soft. So we'll dig further into this unit and see. It may have just been where the clutches were worn out, or maybe the person ran the transmission low on fluid at one time in its life and compromised the clutches. But as of right now, there was no issues. And actually, before I took all this apart, I pressurized each piston, the 3/4, the forward, and the overrun, and all three of them held pressure. So the drum itself is solid. So we're taking apart the forward planet ring gear and reaction hub assembly. And the ring gear is completely shot from where the 3/4 clutches slipped and rode and just basically chewed into this engagement lugs for the ring gear itself. So this is garbage. And then I can tell before I even separate these two that these teeth on the reaction hub, there's a lot of fretting that's taken place, because this whole thing is actually, you can see it, is actually loose. And then slide it out. It's probably kind of hard to see with all the oil in there, but you can see all of the fret marks. So that was where it never rode, that's where it rode, and that's where it never rode. And so this whole area all inside here is completely worn out. So we're taking apart the reverse input drum, and we know that the drum is bad, but we've got to get the piston out. And none of the seals are blown. I do a mod where I put a little cut plug in this relief hole. It's a special size cut plug that has a smaller inside diameter than the factory GM one. It slows down the bleed rate and keeps the reverse input clutches pressurized a little quicker and a little more stable, because you don't need to have that big of a bleed hole. but we need to get this apart to get all this out. The drum is trashed from where the band rode, and in the previous video you can see where the drive shell pounded in severely into this anyways. And then the last thing is that made this drum garbage is that the steels inside actually were pounding out on the splines inside the actual grob steel part of the drum. So overall, this thing is just needs to be replaced and going in the scrap bin. So we'll be getting a brand new AC Delco drum when we do the build. So we're going to tear apart the pump. This is a PWM pump, and see how the aluminum castings look. All of the slide and rotor, that's all being replaced, brand new. So got some witness marks here, but it's not chewed up. Just has all the looks of a high mile unit, but all the suction and relief sides are all in good shape. We're putting a new TCC valve in from Sonics, and we're replacing the entire pressure regulator valve train. Transgo regulator valve and then Transgo boost valve. So it's all going to be brand new and updated. And then I'll do my special little drill mods on the oil return holes, making those larger and chamfered so that any fluid that builds up behind the front seal can quickly get back to the pan. It doesn't have to try to work trying to get through the small return holes. So this will all be fully updated, and it'll have new bronze bushings front and back, get rid of these aluminum bushings from GM, and then new Teflon rings will go on it. So let's take apart the rotor. Rotor's worn out where the torque converter neck rides. Just a lot of chatter marks. But like I said, I've got a new 13 vein rotor assembly, and I've also got the Transgo hardened pump ring, so I get rid of the cast iron rings on both sides of the rotor. All new paddles. Well, amazingly enough, this thing still has all its bluing on. All the bluing is still intact, which is unusual for such a high mile unit. And the top of the slide actually looks remarkably good from all of the oscillations back and forth. Put your hand over that spring because she wants to blow out. It's a very, very stiff, dangerous spring. If it hits you in the face, it would hurt. Yeah, like I say, this slide is really, really in decent shape. And the pivot pin. The pivot pin has a flat spot and a wear spot right there, so got to put a new pivot pin in. But other than that, good to go.